Hello, good evening, and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How's everybody tonight? Hope you're all well. Hope you're having a good week. So then, we are going to take a look at a recent release for a sequel, well, actually a companion edition to a Call of Cthulhu campaign. Regular viewers to the channel will know that we took a look at the Sutra of Pale Leaves, Twin Sun Rising. That's a couple of months ago now. And now we have the second part available, which is Carcosa Manifest. This is from the team of Sons of the Singularity and, of course, Chaosium Inc. My thanks, of course, to Chaosium Inc. for providing a digital copy of the Sutra of Pale Leaves Carcosa Manifest for us to take a look at this evening. Good evening, Roger. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Are you all set and ready to encounter the King in Yellow in 1980s Japan? That's what we're doing tonight. So, yeah, I'm going to be looking at the digital version. This is something that we do from time to time. Obviously, you know, you can get hold of the physical book, but I always typically get the PDFs as well because I actually find it very, very handy to have it on my tablet. Lots of these PDFs have search functions within them, so if you wanted to find some quick reference, it's possibly a little bit easier with a PDF than it is with the actual book. Though I dare say, like so many other people, my books have post-it notes sticking out of the top of all the sort of relevant info points. I'm always doing that. All right, now, because this is part of a campaign, we are going to be entering spoiler territory. So if you do intend to want to play as an investigator, then you might want to not watch. What you can do is you can tell your keeper all about this video. Let them watch the show and see if it's the type of adventure your team of investigators might want to get involved in. So, spoilers, you have been warned. All right, well, we're not quite going to the table this time. We are going to be going to the PDF, so let's hope this works. There we go. Okay, let's get started then. You're all ready, Roger. Excellent, good stuff. Well, first of all, what fantastic artwork. This is really, really good. I like it. I'm trying to work out, because I have the copy of Twin Suns Rising in front of me. Is this a representation of Carcosa itself? Or is this the devastation of what was Tokyo? Because the symbol of, I think it is the Sutra of Pale Leaves, which is the sort of the 3-leaf emblem, is visible in both of the covers, and there is some sort of similarity. I'm trying to work out, is this the sort of skyscrapers that have been destroyed as the King in Yellow has taken over? Is this a sort of a tease of things to come? So, but I like the artwork. It's fantastic, and of course there's some really awesome art throughout the entire book. So let's jump in. We of course have our credits page with lots of people who of course contribute to making these games. And as I say, it is the Sons of the Singularity. I believe that they've done lots of campaigns and adventures for Call of Cthulhu, but this is the first time that I have taken a look at some of their work. And we've got our contents. What do we have? We have a campaign background. We've got, I think it's 4 adventures in this one. The Bridge Maiden Part 1. Wonderland, The Bridge Maiden Part 2, and then The Fixer. So those are the 4. There's 3 in Twin Suns Rising. We do, of course, there are elements you can download from the Chaosium Inc. website as handouts for this book, along with, of course, all of their other books as well. And as always, there is a content advisory. Call of Cthulhu is a mature audience game. I think anybody excuse me, who has played it or is aware of it kind of already knows that. And as we say every time, that you got to make sure that what you present in your game is suitable for those around the table, and so that everybody is having a fun time. So, you know, do your session 0. Give it a rough idea of some of the themes that might occur in your game. Make sure everyone's comfortable with it. If they're not, then obviously work it out so that you don't don't ruin the fun for those involved. Okay, so introduction. The Sutra of Pale Leaves takes place in Japan during the mid to late 1980s. This is a modular campaign. 4 scenarios in this volume, as I pointed out, Carcosa Manifest, and 3 in the Twin Suns Rising. So as it points out, each scenario can be played as a one-shot or part as an ongoing campaign. And I think that's probably what you would end up doing. You'd do the whole lot, wouldn't you? So each scenario has a different theme and focus, but all are tied to the same ever-present and constantly evolving threat. The primary themes and content draw inspiration from The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers. Now, this is something that I commented on when we looked at the first book. I wasn't aware that The King in Yellow was not part of the, actually H.P. Lovecraft. So I sort of learned a little bit here, and I've gone back to actually read the short story there. So it's interesting to see now how they've taken inspiration from that story and taking it into the 1980s, setting it in Japan. So this is definitely an interesting angle on it. So throughout the scenarios, the investigators explore various locations around the vast metropolis of Tokyo. They discover the Sutra of Pale Leaves, a viral weapon disguised as holy scripture. They work to expose the tome's rapidly growing and highly sophisticated cult and encounter their enigmatic antagonist known as the Prince of Pale Leaves, who is hijacking their minds and transforming reality around them. Oh, interesting. So, as it says here, the scenarios in the book appear in chronological order. Running scenarios, printed order. So we got Bridge Maiden Part 2, sequel to Part 1, of course, obviously. Let's move on. And so it does give us the overview then of when the scenarios take place in Twin Suns Rising, and then when they take place in Carcosa Manifest. So 7 in total. We then go into a bit of a section here giving some background information about Japan, but it is, of course, such a small amount. As it says here, this book is not a primer for Westerners role-playing life in Japan in the 1980s, as it barely touches on the unique attributes and the wealth of features that make up Japanese culture. So, yes, this is such a small, very, very quick overview. But I'm just going to have a look because, of course, the first book had a primer, and I think this is probably the same. And I'm just going to check here to see, is it around about the same length? I think it might be, but we're going to soon find out. I certainly recognise some of the pages being quite similar. So this first one, let me just see. Welcome to Japan. Yeah, that's page 8 which I think actually this book probably lays out in exactly the same way. Wouldn't be surprised. No, there is actually some difference. So that's interesting. Yeah, some slight typesetting differences here, but you know, it's enough. If you decided you wasn't going to get the first book, then you've got some information here to get started with. So, giving us a little bit of information about background about Japan and Tokyo in the 1980s. Guides on building your investigators. As it says, there are some pre-generated player characters that you can download from the Chaosium Inc. website. And we spoke about this last time, didn't we? Talking about PCs and the level of technology and computing that was in Japan. I had an MSX home computer, so I definitely relate and understand this time very, very well. Oh gosh, MSX, brilliant computer. Had so much fun on it. Talk about firearms and money. What might Rogue is saying, looks like it's a 3.5-inch disk drive. Yes, on that one. I think that's a bit of a nondescript computer. It's certainly not an MSX. MSX was, oh gosh, what can I describe it as? Over in England, it was the Amstrad and the Atari ST, and the MSX looked something similar to that. And yeah, exactly. Yes, it does. Yes, it has a CD. See, that's the thing. Wasn't it CD drives came out? Would have been late in the 80s, early 90s, I think. I remember my first CD drive. Gosh, going back a bit there. So we got idea of money. In fact, actually, you're talking about 3.5-inch disc drives. What about your 5-inch, 5.25, wasn't it? Pages, swords. Despite what pop culture media may lead investigators to believe, it's not easy to get a sword in Japan. So you're not running around with katanas. A little bit of info on organised crime. I'm very familiar with the London Underground map, so this is actually quite interesting to see the subways of Tokyo. And I wonder, is it still much the same today? Has it changed? You're saying do you still have a cell phone this size? Really, Roger? And having a pager. I never had a pager. And I did use for business once a cell phone that was similar to that. I was quite young at the time. Oh, what if we did? What if we did? It is just going off on a complete tangent. You must have watched the original Lethal Weapon movie. The sequence where they are on a bridge and Danny Glover's character uses a mobile phone in the car, and I think that was one of the earliest films. It was quite something to see this unit using a mobile phone in a car, because of course they would have their radios, wouldn't they? But I remember there was something that was called out at the time of like, look at us, we got the latest technology. And it seems so strange to see this huge block of a phone by comparison to what we have today, yeah? So, the Sutra, words have power. So we're getting details on what the Sutra actually is, a description of it, some of its history. So we're getting a lot of background info here. And this is what I always enjoy about these books. Having read some of H.P. Lovecraft's works and that, this always sort of seems to add to them and makes the world seem just so much more real, you know, adds more depth to it. So I do enjoy just flicking through these to see what weird and wonderful creations the designers have come up with. But we're getting more into sort of the rules aspects here. So we'll just skip along because I don't want to focus too much in it. But all of this does seem very, very similar to what was in the first part. And so we do have these, the inner circle key antagonists. And of course, I'm not going to attempt any of these names of the characters because I will absolutely ruin them. Got a chronology, some confidants. Again, I like the artwork on these, you know. Really, really cool. And it was explaining at the first part that throughout the book they present different styles of Japanese art, which I think is really good. So we get to our first scenario, which is the Bridge Maiden Part 1. And so as it explains, this is a two-part scenario. The investigators attempt to uncover and stop the ultimate conspiracy of the Association of Pale Leaves. So a concrete bridge is being built across Tokyo Bay, and they intend to use it to create a cross-dimensional link to Carcosa, so the prince may come to Earth. The way must be opened for the prince by the Bridge Maiden, who is both a weapon in the APL's hands and their weakest link. So, again, having gone through quite a few of these sort of scenarios now, they all follow the same standard layout. So once you've played one, and certainly as a keeper, run through the process of one, then this will actually start becoming sort of second nature to you. So we get some background, historical background, bit of background about two key NPCs, this brother and sister. And then we get a bit of a chronology. Yeah, I'm not focusing in on too much on the details here. But then we get some hooks on how to involve our investigators. And we don't just get one, but actually we got 6 different kinds of hooks, depending on if the investigators played scenarios from the first book, or if they are new to it. So it's great that this includes a variety of different ways to get this particular scenario started. And of course, it also means then from a keeper's point of view, is if you've got multiple groups, you don't necessarily have to do things the same. You can give it a little bit of flavour from a different angle. And that, of course, makes it sort of fresh for the keeper as well. I can imagine that, you know, playing the same scenario for multiple groups could get a little bit boring-ish if you're going over the same text over and over. So this is good that you've got a slight variation. Naturally, of course, different groups of players, they're going to play it differently anyway, aren't they? So no 2 sessions are the same, are they? We've got some overviews on various characters that we'll find in this particular scenario. But this is something that I thought was interesting, that was in the first book and of course follows through in the second. And in fact, the numbering is done in a way that it considers that you have the first book as well. But this is basically, these lore sheets are little handouts that give your investigator some information that they, as people of that time, would know this info, even if you as a player do not. But these are good little sort of learning tools. So this DC brand, DC stands for designers and characters, a clothing brand with unique designs. So when the concept of DC brands first appeared, it meant clothing that both emphasized a particular designer's sense of style. As its popularity grew, the term also came to refer to a brand name products made by manufacturers who met demand through advertising and mass production. So, yeah, this is interesting. So, yeah, you can talk about DC brands as if you knew what you were talking about. That's cool. We got a variety of different characters, but we'll skip past that. Now, this is something I always find really helpful, and I've seen it a couple of times in some, mainly in the Call of Cthulhu games, which is great, but I've also seen it in, I think it was one of the Monty Cook scenarios you looked at. But, you know, having this sort of flow chart, which is really, really helpful for the keeper to sort of work out where things are going, what's the flow of the game. And this particular scenario is quite linear, as you can see. There's only one small path going off to do maybe some background checks, but pretty much then you end up on the main line. And that's why this is considered like the starting scenario. It's relatively easy for new investigators. We got a bit of a local map for the area that we're going to be working in. Of course, you know, Tokyo is such a huge place. We're not going to go everywhere. But ultimately, over the course of these 7 scenarios, we're going to get to see quite a lot of it. Again, one of these other lore sheets. So, pointing out different locations that we might visit as part of the background checks. This first part, of course, is us actually getting the sort of request from the lead NPC. Getting to talk to her. We can maybe do some checks. And then we're just following it along. This was something because of course this just stood out instantly. But this is a key part of this particular scenario. I wonder, is this a handout that you can download? But it's actually, it's quite sinister. So it goes in a little bit of detail here. And then, again, other locations. More lore sheets. We basically find somebody we've been looking for during the course of this particular mission. And ultimately, we then have our ending. And we have 3 different sort of ending conditions. And then finally, it gives us stats for the various NPCs that are a part of this particular scenario. And that's it. So it's quick sort of skip through that particular, what is it, page 39 through to 64. So it's just over, just shy of 25 pages worth on this particular scenario. Not too bad. As I say, we've got 4 different scenarios, and they all have a different kind of style to them. So let's just do the summary on this Wonderland. So a teenage boy lies in the hospital, the victim of an unthinkably gruesome act. Concerned investigators, perhaps his teachers or family friends, Perhaps hardened hunters of the weird who recognize the signs that led down a rabbit hole of clues into a world that is not ours. A world that is both a twisted reimagining of the classic story Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and the Prince of Pale Leaves himself enciphered in machine code. Ah, this sounds like a video game style. The prince has promised his followers an eternity of hedonistic pleasure in his garden of wonders. This scenario provides a chance for investigators to catch a glimpse of that state. Ah, okay, so yes. Oh, but it does say, oh gosh, okay. Content note, this scenario includes visceral gore and revolves around school bullying and resultant self-harm. Okay. Yeah, well, this is an adult-based game. Actually, I should go and have a quick scan. Let's have a quick scan. Was there a warning? Right, so there was no specific content warning on the first one, but then it is an opening introductory sort of scenario, isn't it? So it does look, it sounds like this is going to be in some sort of video game. Yeah, I can see it there, a multi-user domain. It's a MUD. Did you ever play any MUDs, Roger? And so, yes, we get a lore sheet on iMurd. Multi-user dungeon, yeah. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was multi-user dungeon. You did not? Not back in the day? So, yes, it looks... So this is obviously... We've got a little bit of... We've got video games. We've got Japanese schools. We've got some bullying occurring. But of course, it's going to be much more sinister than just that alone, isn't it? Is this like proto-online bullying? Ah, so here we go. Oh, wow. So the first one, as we saw, the flowchart was quite simple, wasn't it? It was effectively a linear progression. This, wow, we've got a lot of different ways. Again, I really do appreciate these, though this one's a little bit harder to read, given its sort of artistic style, I guess. So yes, we do have a section in Wonderland. I wonder what's that going to be like. So, details on the young lad using the library. Let's get to, here we go, Wonderland. So sooner or later, the investigators are likely to try playing Wonderland. The most obvious place to attempt this is in the, oh gosh, I'll get it wrong now. Uchida residence. Uchida-san. Ah, so that's a person, isn't it? Either father could be convinced to let the investigators have the software on 4 floppy disks to install on their own machine elsewhere. Once installed, the modem makes its hissing and beeping noises as it connects. Do you remember dial-up modems? A crudely pixelated image of a white rabbit appears on a green-tinged and flickering screen. Fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Here we go. I hope that's a handout. I'm sure it is. You do, Roger. Yeah. So actually, this is quite cool. And I think actually this would be a lot of fun with both, well, I guess, people of all ages. For us who are slightly longer in the tooth, we will remember actually doing this for real. And it should bring back some fond memories of dial-up modems and then downloading something and losing connection partway through and having to start the whole download process again. And I suppose for younger people, the simplicity of what these games used to be like. You know, when we've got these amazing role-playing games on video game systems now that looks like movies, then seeing something like this multi-user dungeon will be interestingly quaint. I have fond memories of. I wonder, is it the same thing? But you know, playing the was it The Hobbit as a text-based adventure? If you get a phone call, it would kick you off the internet. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. We to give you an idea, my parents obviously one phone line in the house. A large cable going all the way down from my bedroom to the phone line, which would be down the stairs, annoying everybody. I'd have to put some money in a jar for my telephone usage. Those were the days. Okay, so this is cool. This is good. I like this. Okay, so we'll skip on past. We got our end game, of course. And so again, finishes up in exactly the same way. All right. The White King. Oh, okay. Again, interesting art styles here. So this is the Bridge Maiden Part 2. Ah, is this the bridge? Oh. So is this the idea of the bridge to Carcosa across Tokyo Bay? I think it might be. So it's not saying anything. As far as this, anything to be too concerned about, so let's carry on. Got some new characters. And it is, again, a relatively simple flow diagram here, isn't it, as we continue along. This particular scenario is supposed to be set maybe a year or so after the first. So time has passed. Let's continue. I'm going to sort of... But I like the handouts. These are all very cool. Like I say, you can download these from the Chaosium Inc. website. Can't go wrong with some good handouts, eh? Let's skip past this. Let's go and get to the last scenario. The Fixer. So, this scenario finds investigators at their lowest ebb, living homeless on the streets of Tokyo and cast out by society for standing up to or just getting in the way of the powerful and corrupt. Oh, things have not gone very well for us. But they have a chance of redemption, a hand up from a fixer who aims to teach them how to rewrite history. They just need to do this one little job for him first. Okay. So, that's interesting. Oh, here we go. Keep a note. Over the course of this scenario, some investigators may be reduced to 0 sanity. We suggest that in such circumstances, those players continue to roleplay their respective investigators until the conclusion of a scenario, with the condition bringing associated bouts of madness, phobia, and/or manias at the keeper's discretion. Wow, okay, so this really is... It's bad. Things have gone real bad. So we're getting, again, an interesting little story here. I'm not going to focus in on it too much. This is an interesting flow chart. I'm not quite sure how. Is that just the... Yeah, I don't quite know how to read this, because everyone's connected, isn't it? But of course, in a certain way. Ah, but here we go. Is it cowboy refugees? Yeah, break of and the straw men. Yeah, here we go. So you just follow the path, don't you? Into the epilogue. Okay, I see it. Again, I like the artwork that of all the characters in here. It's really good. So, oh gosh. This is quite cool. I like this. Not sure about that cat up there at the top. There's a lot of handouts and lore sheets for this one, isn't there? There's loads. Yeah, wow. So this is where your characters really do learn a lot about what's actually happening. And then, of course, we get the ultimate ending. Lots of stats for the various NPCs. And then we have an appendices. Concluding the campaign or even expanding it. So, yes, well, this is the first 3 scenarios. I think the idea would have been to play them first, wouldn't it? But ultimately, if you bought this book and you hadn't got the first, then yes, I guess you could go and add those. It does say that you can play it in any order. That's fair enough. What ifs? Okay. And then a bit of a glossary of terms. Which might be useful during the course of playing. Okay, and then we get biographies for those who have contributed to it. And that pretty much brings us to the end. Okay, so here we go, yeah, handouts, maps, and investigators. And then this is the twin suns rising. That's cool. It is a cool piece of artwork for the front cover. And that was it. So, yeah. I like this. I certainly, out of all the little scenarios, I mean, granted, I've glossed over it very, very quickly because I don't want to focus in too much. But I certainly, just because it's a personal thing, I like this Wonderland scenario. I think that really does sort of tick a box for me a little bit. I like the idea of this old 1980s video game being caught up in this. So I think that would be a lot of fun to play. Even though I find that really difficult. This flowchart. Gosh. But that's your sort of DOS-based game, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's one I'm certainly going to have a look more of a look into. I like the idea of that one. So, well, there you go. A quick scan through. Call of Cthulhu, the Sutra of Pale Leaves, Carcosa Manifest. So the second part in the Sutra of Pale Leaves campaign. Do go and check out the stream from a few months ago of the actual first part if you didn't see that. Next week we're going to have 2 shows during the course of the week. It's going to be a Star Trek week. We're going to have a show on Monday and a show on Wednesday. And we will be starting off with the recently released Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition Technical Manual. So this is an opportunity to talk about phasers and warp drives and holodecks and transporters and pads. So yes, I'm looking forward to it. You guys know how much I like to geek out about Star Trek and then also complain about modern Trek. So that's what I'll be doing next week. On the Wednesday night, we will be taking a look at a second Star Trek book, and that is going to be all about exploration, about sectors and star systems and planets and terrain. So we will have Genesis in the palm of our hands. So those are the 2 books that we'll be looking at next week. So if you're into Star Trek and you just want a good old chat about everything Trekkie, then come and join me Monday and Wednesday next week. Roger, it looks like it's going to be neat. Yes, yeah, no, we're going to have a lot of fun. I like talking about Star Trek. You know I do. So yeah, we'll have a lot of fun with that next week. Well, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I hope our quick look at Call of Cthulhu, the Sutra of Pale Leaves, Carcosa Manifest, got you inspired to maybe want to become an investigator in 1980s Japan. If there are other Call of Cthulhu scenarios or books that you'd like me to take a look at and have a scan through, leave a comment in the chat. Let me know. Let me know which ones I should be looking at, ones that you've played in the past and you think, oh, that's a really, really good story. Go and take a look at that one. I'm still relatively new to Call of Cthulhu, even though, of course, it's been around for a long time. So I value your input. So do tell me what I should be taking a look at. I guess that just leaves me to say thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your week and weekend. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday night next week. But until then, bye for now.